As Indian students, we are good at a lot of things, but unfortunately, the GRE verbal section is one that we struggle with quite often. Now, I scored 162 on the verbal when I gave my GRE attempt, and I'm going to share with you some tips that not only work for me but work for hundreds of candidates. So, if you watch this video, hopefully your GRE verbal score will improve and your sleepless nights thinking about the GRE verbal will reduce as well. So, stay tuned. I'm going to start off by giving you a brief of what the GRE verbal section tests you on. Essentially, the GRE verbal section will evaluate how well you're able to critically analyze written English and interpret the meaning. It greatly tests your aptitude. In order to do this, they have three major sections or types of questions. One is the reading comprehension, the second is the sentence equivalence, and the third is the text completion. In this video, I'm going to run you through how you can improve in each of these subsections. Now, before I dive deep into the three specific subsections, there is one general piece of advice that will help you with all three of them. That would be improving your vocabulary. If your vocabulary is already good, you are already at a significant advantage. But if not, one good way to start would be using flashcards. Use flashcards from any company pretty much. There's a set of typically 800 to 1000 words that work very well. And understanding the context of these words is very, very important. Now keep in mind that there is no point in sitting down and learning thousands of words if you do not understand the context and usage of these words. Therefore, instead of memorizing the meaning of a word, of course, understand the meaning of the word and look at how they are used in a variety of different sentences and use cases. This will help you imbibe the meaning of the word and therefore will help you out when you're using it in text completion or sentence equivalence far better. Don't sit down and memorize thousands of words because it does not serve any purpose. Of course, if you're somebody thinking about the GRE in the future, a slightly more long-term strategy would be to improve the amount of reading you are doing, and reading newspapers and novels typically helps. But of course, if you have only a few months to go for the test, this is not going to work out in the short term. So now moving on to the subsections, I'm going to address the reading comprehension first. The reason why I'm talking about the reading comprehension first is because in my opinion and based on feedback from hundreds of students, this is the easiest section where you can score and improve with iterative practice. Whereas the other two sections, the sentences are tough on the day, you might struggle. So while tackling the reading comprehension section, it is important that you read the text in smaller chunks and have your own internal explanation or summary in your own mind so that you're making your own convenient interpretation of the same. This will help you understand the central theme of the entire paragraph instead of reading it continuously without proper context. If you're able to catch the central focal theme of the entire reading comprehension paragraph, it is likely that you'll be able to answer the questions later. So spend time in reading it. Now, like I stated at the start of this section, the amount of practice you put in really improves your test scores in the reading comprehension section at least. Therefore, tackle as many paragraphs as possible from a variety of different sources. So now that we've come to the point of practice and practice material, I'd like to introduce you to our sponsors of this video. This video is brought to you by Magoosh, GRE test prep platform. If you'd like a free practice test with an accurate score prediction and including a section by section breakdown, you can access the test for absolutely free using the link in the description. This Magoosh practice test that we are giving you access to for absolutely free can be done section by section, where you can do a math section for 30 minutes and a verbal section for 30 minutes, or you can give the entire test in about an hour. So don't miss out on this because this is going to be very close to the actual ETS exam. You should certainly consider checking out Magoosh for their test prep plans because it's helped millions of candidates secure great scores. Magoosh is fully updated for the shorter GRE format. It has an ambitious scheme where you get your money back if they don't lead to a +5 improvement on your GRE score. It is also the only US-based company that has official ETS materials and questions which are going to be closest to the official GRE. Magoosh also includes 1600 plus questions, access to full-length tests. Additionally, they also have email support where you can always ask them queries wherever you're stuck. Now I'm going to move on to the text completion section. Now all of us have done fill in the blanks in school, right, within the verbal section. Text completion is sort of the same, but a little bit more difficult. It is important that when you're filling the appropriate word in the blank, that you read the entire sentence to understand what the context is and which direction the sentence is going. Also, if you have to fill after certain connecting words, such as however, or although, or because, you will know whether this is a contrast or a causation. Therefore, whether you have to fill a synonym or an antonym is something that you can decide, and it's important that you read the entire sentence before getting context. So when you're preparing initially, accuracy is important, so spend more time reading the entire question. Once the accuracy improves and you're putting in practice, your speed will improve automatically. Accuracy first. The third part of the GRE verbal section is the sentence equivalence. Now this is a little different from text completion because you have to replace words with similar or opposite meanings. Next we move on to the sentence equivalence section, which is different from text completion because here you have to replace words with synonyms and two similar ones at that. Now as always, just like text completion, my recommendation is to read the entire sentence completely so that you're not missing out on the context. During the initial days of your preparation, even if this takes time, it's absolutely fine. Now we move on to the sentence equivalence part of the verbal section. This is a little different from text completion because here you have to find words that do not change the meaning of the sentence, and you have to find two of those typically. Fortunately, with the sentence equivalence section, you can use a tip known as eliminating the obviously wrong options. These are going to be fairly easy to find, which you can figure out with a little bit of practice. And oftentimes the other advantage with this section is that the right answer will be found when you find two words with very similar meanings. Therefore, if you've done your vocabulary practice with your flashcards well, you'll be able to understand which groups of words have similar meanings, and oftentimes this is the right answer. Alright, so now that I've given you sectional tips, let me give you some general tips that will help you as we conclude this video. The first thing is, do not utilize your official ETS tests right at the beginning of your prep. These are going to be extremely accurate and close reflection of what you can expect on test day. So use the GRE material only when you are fairly well prepared right towards the end. In terms of practice, gather as much material as you can. Manhattan's 5LB, Princeton's reviews materials, all of these are pretty strong and will only enhance your score. Don't nitpick on the material, gather as much as you can. And I would also recommend you get some sort of coaching or test prep. If not personalized coaching, at least on an online platform. Something like Kaplan or Magoosh are typically very good and will certainly lead to an improvement in your score. The other tip that you have to avoid, especially considering we are in September and the timelines are tight, is not to procrastinate. I understand that the GRE test scheduling is a little flexible, but the mistake students make is that they don't schedule the test and they keep postponing it thinking they'll improve their score over time. And oftentimes it's a little too late and the deadlines come in and the pressure builds up. I would recommend that you set a test date maybe a month and a half, 2 months in advance at least, but prepare towards that date with a dedicated study schedule. I would recommend that you take a test every alternate day or at least every 2 days, and the entire length of the test, including the AWA section, because that is the most accurate simulation of the actual GRE, and that's the only way you improve when you're simulating the entire test. Don't cherry pick and only do parts of the test because that's not going to be accurate at all. Having that study schedule, discipline and focus can really improve your score. So those were my tips for the verbal section on the GRE. I hope that this improves your score by a little bit at least. Of course, Magoosh is sponsoring this video and you can always use their material, and it's shown great results for a lot of our candidates in the past. So do check it out. Additionally, if you found this content helpful, please do like, share and subscribe.